The long fuse from revolution to regional war.
Speaking to the press Monday, President Trump said the war in Iran is ahead of schedule and almost over.
Are you thinking this week it will be over?
No,
Are you talking
but soon.
about days?
I think soon.
Okay, and with respect
Very
to...
soon.
The president told Israeli news outlet Times of Israel that the final decision to end the war will be a mutual one between he and Prime Minister Netanyahu. As U.S. and Israeli forces continue to pound Iran on land and sea, the Strait of Hormuz has been frozen, causing oil prices to spike. In the U.S., gas prices are up 50 cents over the last week. The national average is $3.47 a gallon.
And I will not allow a terrorist regime to hold the world hostage and attempt to stop the globe's oil supply. And if Iran does anything to do that, they'll get hit at a much, much harder level.
Trump says he's unhappy with Iran's choice of Khamenei's son as their new supreme leader, and he's still not ruling out putting boots on the ground to force regime change for the Iranian people.
I'd love to help them, but they have to be in a system that allows them to be helped. And right now they're in a system that only allows failure. And I don't want that. And I want a system that's not going to be attacking us. We want a system that can lead to many years of peace. And if we can't have that, we might as well get it over with right now.
Iran continues to send drones at Israel and Arab nations, including 2 at Saudi Arabia and 6 at Kuwait today. All were shot down. The Jerusalem Post is reporting that Iran's attacks on other Gulf nations is improving Israeli relations with neighboring Arab countries. In Israel, people running for their lives after a barrage of 8 Iranian cluster bombs landed, mostly in the central part of the state, killing 2 people here Monday. This is what a cluster bomb is designed to do. It literally rips through anything that it comes in contact with. What you're looking at are these holes in this metal sheeting here by this building, and it just blows it open. These are designed, these cluster bombs, to rip through metal, as you see, rip through vehicles, tanks in battle, and then obviously if you're a person, it could shred your body apart. And that's what happened here today. And to give you an idea just how dangerous it is right now in much of Israel, we had to scramble to shelter in the middle of a CBN live shot.
We're using cluster bombs, and we're hearing, are those bombs going off right now? I don't know if you can hear the thud, but we're hearing something right. There's another one.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys hear this.
Yep.
Yeah. We just took cover moments ago. You can see the people are taking cover right here, the camera crews.
Welcome. Today we are analyzing one of the most volatile and consequential geopolitical shifts of the 21st century. As of today, March 13th, 2026, the Middle East is engulfed in a direct military confrontation that has been nearly 50 years in the making. To understand how we arrived at this point, with U.S. and Israeli forces actively striking Iranian soil, we have to look back at the timeline of a conflict that began not with missiles, but with a revolution. The modern hostility traces its roots directly to 1979. Before that year, Iran and Israel were actually quiet partners. But the Iranian Revolution changed everything. The U.S.-backed Shah was overthrown and Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini established the Islamic Republic. Almost overnight, Iran adopted a stance of fierce anti-American and anti-Israeli sentiment.
After the United States military, along with Israeli counterparts, attacked Iranian cities and towns, including capital Tehran, Iran is reportedly mulling a retaliation beyond ballistic missiles and drone attacks to hit America. Federal authorities have warned that Iran could launch retaliatory attacks on American soil using sleeper cells, affiliated Iranian armed groups, lone wolf sympathizers, or targeted cyber attacks. According to the Los Angeles Times, Within days of Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's killing on February 28th, cryptic messages were broadcast globally on a new shortwave radio frequency. The message read Tavajo, Tavajo, the Persian word for attention. The eerie male voice then read a random string of numbers, the LA Times report added. As per the report, federal authorities warned local law enforcement agencies they detected a new broadcast of a likely encoded sequence that could be an operational trigger for sleeper assets, potentially on American soil. U.S. President Donald Trump was questioned at a news conference about Iran activating sleeper cells inside the country. Here's what he said.
Activated any sleeper cells inside the U.S. There's reports that they have pressed that trigger button to activate those cells, at least abroad.
Well, they've been trying for a long time. We've been very much on top of it.
The counterterrorism investigators have so far found no credible threat, but an alert describes preliminary signals analysis of the transmission, likely to be of Iranian origin. The FBI and the Department of Homeland Security have been on a war footing since Operation Epic Fury was launched on February 28th. During President Joe Biden's term, the Department of Homeland Security had issued a threat assessment claiming that Tehran relied on individuals with pre-existing access to the United States for surveillance and lethal plotting. According to the Los Angeles Times report, Iran sought to kill former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and former National Security Advisor John Bolton to avenge the killing of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani in 2020. According to the LA Times report, Pakistani native Asif Raza Merchant was convicted in a 2024 murder-for-hire plot targeting Donald Trump and others and attempting to commit an act of terror. In November 2024, the Department of Justice charged Farhad Shakeri, an Afghan national residing in
The
Tehran,
defining moment of that era was the seizure of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran. For 444 days, 52 Americans were held hostage. It was a national humiliation for the United States, and it created a scar on the American foreign policy that has never truly healed. Throughout the 1980s and 90s, the conflict moved into the shadows. It began building what it calls the axis of resistance. They funded and trained Hezbollah in Lebanon, supported Hamas in Gaza, and backed various militias across Iraq and Syria. This allowed Iran to strike at U.S. and Israeli interests without engaging in a direct conventional
The Iranian
war.
armed forces have issued a chilling warning to Israel and the United States, saying that security and stability in West Asia is either for everyone or for no one. The Iran Revolutionary Guard Corps, or the IRGC, said in a statement, and I quote, "The coordinated launch of powerful and strategic missiles, including the Qadr, Imad, and Fatah series, alongside the Khyber hypersonic missile, has propelled the battlefield against U.S. and Israeli aggressors into a new phase." The Iran Revolutionary Guard Corps, or the IRGC, said in a statement that the Aerospace Force missiles, preceded by a vanguard of offensive drones, effectively targeted American forces at the Al-Dhafra and Al-Jafir bases in the UAE and Jordan, respectively.
The stakes shifted dramatically in 2002, when Iran's secret nuclear program was exposed. For the next 2 decades, the world watched a high-stakes game of cat and mouse. We saw the 2015 nuclear deal under the Obama administration, which temporarily capped Iran's enrichment. We then saw the 2018 U.S. withdrawal under President Trump, followed by maximum pressure sanctions, and the 2020 assassination of IRGC commander Qasem Soleimani. By 2023, the shadow war was reaching a boiling point. Cyber attacks, the assassination of nuclear scientists, and proxy strikes became the norm. Then, On October 7th, 2023, everything changed. Hamas's attack on Israel triggered a massive war in Gaza, and Iran's proxies, from the Houthis in the Red Sea to Hezbollah in the north, joined the fray. The year 2024 saw the first ever direct missile exchange between Iran and Israel, but the true turning point was the 12-day war in June 2025. Israel and the U.S. launched targeted strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities at Fordo and
The master of a
Natanz.
container ship reported that the vessel had sustained damage after being hit by what officials called a suspected projectile. The strike set the cargo ship ablaze in the waters of the Strait of Hormuz. The crew quickly began evacuation procedures and requested assistance. UK MTO confirmed that while the ship had suffered damage, all crew members were reported safe. The extent of the damage to the vessel.
While it set the program back, it didn't destroy it. Diplomacy failed throughout late 2025, leading us to the explosive events of the last few weeks. On February 28, 2026, the strategy of containment ended. The U.S. and Israel launched Operation Epic Fury. This wasn't a shadow operation. It was a massive, overt campaign of nearly 900 strikes in just 12 hours. The primary targets were Iran's air defenses, missile manufacturing sites, and most significantly, its leadership. The strikes resulted in the death of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, along with Defense Minister and top IRGC commanders. The U.S. and Israel characterized this as a preemptive necessity, a final move to prevent Iran from finalizing a nuclear warhead.
Transiting the Strait of Hormuz was struck by an unidentified projectile, an alarming development in one of the world's most sensitive maritime zones. According to a UK maritime security agency, the strike ignited a fire on board, forcing the crew to abandon the vessel as emergency response teams were alerted. The incident was first reported by Iran International, unfolding on the 12th day of the ongoing US-Israel confrontation with Iran, further heightening regional tension. The ship's captain issued a distress call immediately after impact, requesting urgent assistance as the vessel drifted near the coast of the United Arab Emirates. The United Kingdom's Maritime Trade Operations Office confirmed that the strike took place roughly 25 nautical miles off Ras Al Khaimah, a crucial gateway for international shipping. In a separate but possibly related event, the master of another container ship reported damage from what appeared to be a projectile near the UAE coastline. Authorities said the full extent of structural damage to the targeted vessel remains under investigation as maritime security officials gather evidence. Fortunately, officials later confirmed that all crew members aboard the damaged vessel were rescued safely, despite the fire that engulfed parts of the deck. The attack came just days after the IRGC's public warning to choke off the Strait of Hormuz and send global oil prices soaring to $200 a barrel, a threat that suddenly feels far more real.
The criminal United States and the desperate Zionist regime, considering that since the beginning of their aggression against Islamic Iran they have achieved nothing but killing innocent children, defenseless women and men, and civilians.
Iran's response was immediate and devastating. They launched hundreds of ballistic missiles not just at Israel, but at U.S. bases in Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, and the UAE. On March 8th, the regime quickly transitioned power, naming the late leader's son, Mojtaba Khamenei, as the new supreme leader, signaling that the regime would fight rather than fold. Today, March 13th, marks the day 14th of this full-scale war. The situation is critical. U.S. and Israeli strikes are continuing daily across 11 Iranian provinces. Over 90 Iranian naval vessels have been sunk, and explosions have been reported in Tehran as recently as this morning during Al-Quds day rally. The human and economic toll is staggering. We are seeing reports over 2,000 casualties across the region. This includes civilians in both sides, including a tragic strike on an Iranian school that claimed 175 lives and the loss of at least 8 U.S. service members in the theater of operations. Global markets are reeling. Iran has targeted shipping in the Straits of Hormuz, the world's most important oil transit point. Consequently, Brent crude has surged past $100 a barrel, and global energy supply remains under constant threat. As of this moment, the rhetoric from the leadership suggests no immediate end in sight. President Trump has stated the war is moving rapidly and has even raised the possibility of seizing Iran's enriched uranium stockpiles. Meanwhile, the new leadership in Tehran vows to continue the fight until every U.S. base is cleared from the region.
Looks into that. Schumer and the Democrats have shut it down, which tells you they probably hate our country a lot. But the Democrats have to open that up. But we've got very, very good intelligence into that. We know a lot of different things that have happened that have been very bad. A lot of them came in during the Biden open border period. But we have them under, we've got them, we're watching every single one of them. Yeah, we know a lot about them. The biggest problem we have is the Democrat shutdown. We know a lot about them, but the shutdown doesn't allow us to do what we have to do.
What we are witnessing is the culmination of nearly 50 years of ideological and military tension. The shadow war is over. The direct war is here. Whether this leads to regime collapse or a broader regional conflagration or an eventual return to the negotiating table is the question that will define the coming weeks. One thing is certain, the map of the Middle East is being redrawn in real time. We will continue to monitor the situation as it unfolds. Once again, I'm Ro for The Real Shift, bringing you up to date news with a hint of, you call it comedy, I call it not to laugh at, but we'll keep it going. Thank you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you much.
These reports regarding Iran's dormant sleeper cells successfully activating specifically come right after Khamenei's son's ascension to ultimate power. Mujtaba Khamenei officially took over the reins, serving as Iran's powerful new supreme leader during the period of March 8th to 9th.